Hello everyone and welcome back to the X-Ring. I hope you guys are doing well. What we're going to do is we're going to take an in-depth look of what's recognized as the very first assault rifle in the world, and that is going to be the Sturmgewehr STG-44. So stick around. All right, so let's take a step back into history. The time is 1939. Germany has just invaded Poland, and it is the start of World War II. You've got France and Britain that declare war on Germany, and you have to think of the firearms at the time. You have things like the Lee Enfield, you had the 1903 Springfield. You have to think of where World War I took us, okay? So almost everything, had a large, long bayonet. It shot a very large cartridge like the 30-06. The Germans had the Carabiner 98K shooting the 8mm Mauser. And so they were very, very large platforms. Now, submachine guns were part of that inventory. You already had the Thompson, which was a 45 ACP round. You had the Germans that had the MP40, but all of those were pistol caliber type submachine guns. So you had these guns that could effectively reach out to 2,000 yards, effective really about 1,000 yards, with your iron sights. And then you had these submachine guns that were good out to about 100, maybe 200 yards. There was no intermediate weapon or cartridge system that could fill that gap between that 100 to 400 yard range. So Hugo Smeisser is the European version of John Moses Browning. He was an unbelievable weapons engineer, designed a ton of weapons, and he started working on what was the MP-44, or some people call it the MP-43. Guys, if you ever hear STG-44 or STG-43 or MP-44-43, they're kind of used synonymously. I'll get you a little bit of history on that from what I've been able to ascertain from history books and seeing how the STG was actually developed. So because of that need for an intermediate weapons platform, something that could hold more capacity than these rifles that could hold, 5 to 8 rounds, depending on what it was, or these submachine guns that had limited range, they started developing something that could hold a full 30 rounds, that was something that was shorter, you could carry a lot more on you, and it could advance on guys to assault or storm, which means Sturm is how you would say it in German, storm rifle. So Sturmgewehr is storm gun or storm rifle. So it truly does get its name from assault rifle. Guys, I'm not going to get into semantics for you guys that say there is no such thing as an assault rifle. That's an action. That is semantics, guys. If I tell you to go to a sniper match, you're going to grab a precision rifle. If you're going to go to a PCC match, you're going to go to a pistol caliber carbine or subgun. So whether you want to recognize assault rifle, now there's a difference. I understand that AR for Armalite rifle doesn't stand for assault rifle, but I do think there is a true designation of something called an assault rifle. That is something that you can storm a building. You've got intermediate distance from 100 to about 600 meters that has an effective range that you can carry a lot of ammunition, and it will do the job. So hence, they started working on a cartridge, and what they did was they shortened down the 8mm Mauser and came out with this 7.92x33. Now, 7.92x33 is also referred to as 8mm Kurtz. You guys know that Kurtz, or 9mm Kurtz, is just a 380. It's basically a short 8mm. This ammunition is extremely difficult to find. It's starting to become a little more readily available because of replicas and whatnot, but the version we're shooting today is not a replica. It is the real and actual product by C.G. Haenel, which is still an arms manufacturer to this day. So when Hugo Schmeisser and those guys started working on the Sturmgewehr, they really had to kind of keep that a secret from Hitler. Hitler was kind of opposed to it, and so hence the name MP-44 came about. So that way it kind of flew under the radar while they were developing it. And during an award ceremony, Hitler had asked a lot of his top advisors what they wanted, and they all said they wanted the STG-44. Hence, it became into what it is today. It came into existence. It was extremely effective. However, that was at the end of the war. The war officially ended somewhere in 1945, and so that was kind of it. You'll still see them all over the world today, so let's take an in-depth look at this STG-44. All right, so taking a look at the rifle, you're going to see a lot of the design cues and elements from things like the HK, the G3, and the Kalashnikov, the AK-47. I think a lot of the stuff was taken from the STG because this was actually prior to those being invented. But you start off with this wooden buttstock. It is wood on the end. You have some metal accent plates here on the corner, and then you also have a spot for a cleaning kit here on the top. There is also a cutout here for the sling, and on the sling it feeds through the wood itself and into this wooden area. Now you'll see that you have a single takedown pin. This is very similar to a lot of your H&K rifles that you see today. You're going to see a lot of use of stamped metals or sheet metal on this. Looking continue on the right side, this would be a selector if it was full auto, and you'll see some rivets here, and then over here you have the dust cover for the ejection port. So this is kind of like the reverse of what an M16 is, but you did have a dust cover to keep dirt and debris out of it that would open when you actuated the charging handle. You did have a magazine here that held 30 rounds, and on the left side you actually had a button that you could depress to remove this with the thumb. It's very similar to how some guys will do a magazine change on an AR. There was no magazine release on the right side. Coming on down, you had this metal handguard. It actually just clamps onto here. It does get very hot when you shoot it, especially if you were to have one that was in full auto mode. The other thing is you had a stacking rod here, and you might say, well, what are stacking rods? Well, back in the day when they were camping or setting up camp, to keep the rifles off the ground and in the dirt, they might not have had anything to lean them up against, and so basically you place typically 3 rifles. It's not unique to the STG. You would place 3 rifles together, and the stacking rod would keep them together in kind of like a tripod. You could hang material from it, and basically you had a little makeshift rifle teepee. You also had a sight post up here. It's very tall, very reminiscent of what you'd see on the AKs, and you do have a threaded barrel. It does have a thread protector with a plunger similar to an AK. As far as the sight system is very similar to what you would see back in those days where you had a sliding leaf here that would raise this up and down. There was no peep or anything, it was just a blade sight. Looking at the left side, you had, starting up, you had the takedown pin. If you had a selector, it would be here. You also have a safety switch here, so you have safe and fire. And then moving up forward, you're going to see the magazine release here and the charging handle on the left side. All right, so picking up one of these magazines, it's very similar to like a G3 magazine. Basically, you're just going to load them on the top. Loads very, very easily like any standard type of rifle like your AR or any of the other ones. You don't have to slide it back or anything else. It is a very short, fat round. It is actually a little fatter than the 7.62x39. But it's about 200 feet per second slower or closer to about 100 feet per second. It just depends on who you ask and what ammo lot you're testing. So the loading of the magazine is extremely easy. This has been blocked, so it only holds 10 rounds, YouTube, so that's all it will be able to hold. And what we're going to do is we're going to test this at 25 yards first. It has not been fired. To be truthful with you, no one's fired this rifle probably in a long time. So what we're going to do is we're going to charge it. It sounds just like an AK-47. I mean, it's so similar, it's not even funny. It's almost scary. And what we're going to do is we're going to shoot it on paper at 25 yards. Hopefully I don't knock any of my cameras out with the spent brass. Here we go. We're just going to aim center mass. And here we go. Okay, so very, very soft recoil on the first shot. I will tell you, just like a G3, because I'm part Asian, I have the high cheekbones. This part right here does hit you just a little bit, but it's not much recoil at all. I have no idea where the round went, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep aiming at that same spot, and we'll see if it will group halfway decent before we shoot it at 100, 200, and 300 yards. All right, so apparently this rifle did not like that magazine, and it was actually bending the cartridge. So let's try that again. All right, so I can't see what the target looks like. Let me go check it out. All right, so the accuracy is there. Like I said, it's shooting a little bit low. I'm not gonna mess with it because when we shoot it at 100, 200, and 300, I wanna see if we have any type of intermediate distance on that to be able to hit man-sized targets. All right, so what I plan on doing now is I'm gonna try to see how fast I can pull the trigger on it. It is a very long trigger, but it's very, very smooth. Very similar to like what an H&K trigger feels like. So I've got like 3 rounds in here. I'll shoot it as fast as I can. Here we go. Yeah, so very, very controllable. Like I said, you can manipulate that trigger super, super fast. Very, very soft recoil. And I'm actually getting used to where I'm putting my cheek now, so it's not so bad. So let's go ahead and try to shoot it at 100 yards and see if we can hit man paper or man steel. Then we'll do 200 and then we'll try 300. All right, guys, because ammunition is so scarce for this, I'm not going to be able to shoot a ton of rounds, but what I've done is I've got cardboard targets out at 100, 200, and 300 yards. I am just going to shoot just 1 round, and we'll go for the 100-yard target. We'll just do this offhand, lights low, but I am going to wear glasses on something this old. Here we go. All right, I have no idea if that hit. You do not have last round bolt hold, but we'll check out the camera, see if we hit it. All right, so that first round was actually low left after reviewing the footage. So what we're gonna do is, I can't adjust windage on this. I'm sure it can be done within the post itself. We don't have time to do that, so I'm just gonna aim high right, and I'm actually gonna put this on, like, let's say the 200-yard mark, and that should alleviate that issue. So I'm gonna have to do this without glasses because it is getting so dark out here. And let me aim off the right side. Here we go. All right, I think it was still off left. Let me review the footage, check that out. All right, so after reviewing the footage, it was on the paper. It is on the bottom right portion of the paper. What I'm going to do now is I'm gonna move it up just a little bit more, and I think we should have a good 0 on that. Let me go ahead and move this up to here. Let's see if we can get one center mass offhand. Here we go. That should be pretty close, and then we'll move to 200. All right, so now that we've got it on paper at 100, should be able to do the 200. I know I would want something like this definitely more than a sub gun. Let's go ahead and see if we can put one on the paper at 200 yards. Might have pulled that just a hair off right. And after reviewing the footage, we actually just got the right side of it. Elevation was actually perfect on it. Let's do one more. That should have been pretty good. Might have been a favor, just a hair left, but what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go up to 300 yards. Now from here, I had to get a little creative when I built this. I was able to put a bench here, and if you look through the woods, you can actually see a little gap where you can see the 300-yard target. It's all the way down there. All right, so what I'm gonna do from this location, I can actually get 300 yards. It's like 298. I'm gonna try to thread the needle here, and actually, I don't even need that bag. It's not gonna work. We'll use the monopod method here. 300 yards, and here we go. So as luck would have it, that was a dead center headshot at 300 yards, dead center. Well, it would be luck if we just did it once, so let's make sure we can hit the paper twice. And guys, like I said, I would shoot a lot more, but this is very, very expensive ammunition. Let's try it again, 300 yards. Come on, let's get one on paper here. All right, let's hope we hit it. All right, so that one did hit its center mass, and so 300 yards, not a problem. Like I said, it was really designed for 400. If it was a machine gun, 300 and in, and then for semi-automatic fire, they said it was good out to about 600. So, it pretty much has near ballistics to the AK-47 with the 7.62x39. Not quite as good because, like I said, it does have less energy, even shooting the same weight bullet. But guys, this is truly a piece of history. I really wanted to get this video review out to you today. It is extremely cold out here, and I knew it was going to be late in the day, but it was the only way it was going to work. And like I said, if you can ever have an opportunity to shoot one of these, you absolutely should, because it is what started the modern assault rifle. It really is. Additionally, they are making remakes of these now. There's a company out of Kentucky. I don't know who they are, no attachment to them. Like I said, this is a real deal. It's just been deactivated on the full auto, and so like I said, it is just such a unique piece of history. What we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and tear it down inside. I need to get inside and warm up a little bit, and we'll pick up there. All right, so disassembly is very easy. We're just going to do it out here in the field. What you want to do is make sure that it's clear first and foremost, and it is clear. Next thing you want to do is pull the rear push pin. So this takedown pin here is very similar to what you've seen on all the HKs. I actually put the buttstock on my shoulder so that when I pull this, the spring doesn't go everywhere. Now, one of the points of contention with this was the stock, because it was a wood stock and you have a channel, a hole in here, and if it swelled, it could bind the spring itself. So this is a full-length spring. This is actually hinged. This does not come off. This is pinned into the actual upper receiver, and then from here what you're going to do is just pull the charging handle gently. When you do that, you have your long stroke gas piston like this, and you guys probably recognize this. This looks like something that you'd see on an HK style pistol on like a P7 M8. This is actually pinned into this, and you have your bolt. Now the bolt contains the firing pin, and all this does is hooks and drops. Basically when it goes forward, this drops, and then whenever you charge it, this lifts the back of the bolt up. So very, very simple system. It is very reminiscent of what you're seeing on an AK-47 or something like that. That's really all the disassembly, other than taking this handguard off. Literally, you can take your fingernails, pull that down. Don't know if that's something I'm going to be able to do with my fingernails. Now on the handguard portion here, guys, this is literally like a heat shield. Your barrel is right here, so you can imagine how hot this would get. Yes, they do have holes here for porting, but if you shot this quite a bit, it is going to get very warm on you. And then as far as the thread protector, it's very similar to an AK. You just press the button, and then you can unscrew the thread protector off of this like what you're used to seeing on an AK. I do not know if you can run a suppressor on this. I'm not going to do that. This is truly a piece of history. Something like this is getting close to about $40,000 now, if it is a real unit, like a CG handle, something very similar to this one. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that review of the Sturmgewehr, the STG, the 43, 44, whichever you'd like to call it. It is an awesome piece of history that I think it was the birthplace of the assault rifle. I really do. So what I'm going to do is I'm hoping to compare and do a lot more reviews of HK style rifles. You'll see a lot of the heritage of those coming from this, as well as the AK. Also have a lot of other really great content coming up. We have SHOT Show coming up. I'll be in town January the 18th. And for all those that were at the Western North Carolina, the Ag Center, the gun show this weekend that came up and said hi, I do appreciate all of you guys and everyone that watches the channel. It is growing, and I do appreciate it. I have fun with it, and I hope to bring you guys some more great content. I have a new drop coming on January the 9th. Be looking for that one. That is a new product that will be launching very soon, as well as some other items that we'll be releasing at SHOT Show that I'm not allowed to discuss at this moment. So you guys take care. Have a great week. We'll see you on the next one.